Neck-throughs, guitars, they're like a guy that you won't have a beer with you.
I want to hear what's pushing the notes.
Freddie King and B.B. King, Albert King, and let's not forget Burger King.
I don't want to blow my knuckle out.
Stainless steel is the work of the devil.
These go to 11.
From the East Amplification Tone Labs in Baltimore, Maryland, it's the Amps and Axes Show with your hosts, Jeff the Godfather of Low Wattage Amps Bober and Mick Marcelino.
Well, good day to you, Mr. Bober.
Good day to you, Mr. Marcelino, and a beautiful one it is.
Yeah. I guess we could start. We want to thank our fans. You guys have been spreading the word. That's the only way this thing works. We appreciate everything.
Yes.
Clicking through the banner on ampsandaccesscast.com and all the good stuff. I changed the page a little bit. It's now flows very nice.
I noticed it the other day.
You got your archives now. You got an archive list. I've been working on that. And You got the quick lick with our good buddy,
Mr. Jason Saditas.
And yeah, he's been, he is now... It has come to the close of the quick lick, but that is not necessarily the end,
right, of
our lickage.
That's right.
Yes,
there'll be what is the phrase now? Alternative lickage.
Yeah. and then you get This Week in Music too. You got to check that out. So that all sits there under our little archives, plus all of our episodes from number 1 to the current one, which will be number 166.
Wow.
And we have a little bit of a heavy heart.
We do, because this is a first for us that one of our guests has passed.
Yeah, let's not make it a habit.
Yeah, let's not. Well, Jesus, between last year and the beginning of this year,
I don't
know. It doesn't seem to be slowing down too much. But Mr. Elliott Rubinson, owner of Dean Guitars and D-Drum and Luna Guitars, and former owner of Thoroughbred Music, which was one of the big guys back in the day.
Yeah, they were.
He has passed on. So
I guess we didn't know.
I don't think many people did.
Yeah, we found out a little bit later, and actually in the interview that we had with Michael Badio, I had mentioned it, and I guess it was not really public knowledge that he had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael, being the friend that he wasn't going to step over that boundary and say anything. We had heard it through something, I forget. It was somebody that we knew, I think you knew, and you had said to me, I think he had cancer. This was probably about a year ago, I would think. At that time.
Could be, but...
I remember it vaguely, and then we interviewed Michael, and I had said, is he doing okay? And he just kind of glazed over it because obviously it was a touchy subject.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
We didn't know. We thought, okay, well, maybe he's okay. And then we got the news the other day.
Kind of appeared to be because, man, he just kept touring.
Yeah, he pressed.
Just kept playing, man. Yeah. And good on him. I mean, if I don't know for a lot of people, hopefully it is for a lot of people, but I know for me, one thing that keeps me going is just being able to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Michael made that possible. Michelangelo Badio.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote a really touching thing on Instagram a couple days ago. Now, as you hear this has been 5 days.
Yeah.
But he wrote a very nice thing and said that if it wasn't for Elliott, his career, was probably not going. It would not go down the tracks that it's going down right now because of Elliott.
Oh, nice.
Elliott actually helped him kind of resurrect, what was left at that point. And it's one of those things that guy was he was a fan.
Mm-hmm.
He bought that company and made it what it is today, but wanted to play bass for everybody, and he did. He got to play for Schenker.
He was out with Schenker a lot.
I think Uli Roth. I think he did some stuff with him.
He played with Uli Roth for a while.
I'm sorry, Uli.
Yeah, he played with Uli Roth.
Yeah, but his big thing was with Michael.
Yeah,
and you got to actually you knew him on a different level because of Leslie West.
Right,
yeah.
and just the business in general. I had met him. Probably more than a couple few years ago.
It's been a while.
It's been. We were in Tampa at one point and met with him. Got the tour of the factory. We all went out and had lunch, and just a really nice guy. And that was because Leslie was hooked up with Dean, and I was working with Leslie. And
you were right there, probably when Dean Zielinski had no longer, right after he had just gotten rid of the company and Elliott had taken over the company.
Right, because Dean Zielinski was still involved with Dean when we first started working with Leslie.
And then he left.
He moved on, right.
So, we condolences out to his wife and his kid,
absolutely.
And, everybody that's associated with him. And go back and listen to that interview. That dude is one of the happiest dudes you could ever imagine, being in a business that, you never know.
Right.
And guitar making or any making of anything is always, spotty at best sometimes.
We all know the musical industry is it's a secondary industry with with compared to a lot of other industries. And when the stock market goes up and down and banks go up and down, the music industry generally goes up and down.
Absolutely. And the thing about like amps and guitars is they got to be built well. So there's no reason that it can't last you 25, 30 years.
It's not like a washing machine or a refrigerator that there's planned obsolescence.
Exactly. So it isn't like in 3 years, I got to go buy a new guitar. So when you're running that business, you got to, I can't believe that the spirit was what it was under the pressure of running a business and still performing with these guys.
Totally. Yeah.
And so that was the cool part, man. And like I said, go back and listen to that episode. You can hear the happiest dude on the planet.
Yeah. R.I.P. Elliott, man.
Yeah, man.
It was a pleasure to know you.
Yes.
So
yeah. So we had this is the third episode of
of members of this particular band.
Yes, a prog band.
Yeah, and now we're getting to the
main guy.
To the main guy, the head man, the head prog.
Yeah, and the response on this has been pretty good. You guys, like you said, this band is bigger than most people would want to believe, just because you don't hear the name being thrown around. But in this genre, they are very large.
Absolutely.
And I have, just from our sheer numbers, I'm like, well, yeah, they are right.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're not in an era where like Yes gets a lot of airplay or
Dream Theater, Rush.
Yeah.
Rush doesn't get all the play
kind
that
of prog things. I mean, Asia doesn't exist anymore, but we're not in an era where that gets a lot of airplay anymore. Album oriented rock is not what it used to be, and that's where prog used to be big.
Oh yeah.
But these guys have been doing it for a long time, man.
Mm-hmm.
And are very good at what they do.
Yeah, no slouches. When you get into these kind of bands, there's no. Everybody is like top notch.
Right. There's no 3-chord wonders here.
No. Not saying that there's anything disparaging about that.
No.
But when you get into these levels, these guys, they eat it. It's eat, sleep, drink it, the whole bit.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, man.
So we're gonna take a quick pause for the cause, and we will be back with the head of this band this week, the head of the Neal Morse Band, Mr. Neal Morse.
Hi, this is Michelangelo Badio, and you're listening to Amps and Axes. Amps and Axes rocks.
All right, and we are back with our guest of the week. the leader of the pack, for as they say, for the Neal Morse Band, Mr. Neal Morse himself. Neal, how are you?
Pretty good, man. I'm on the tour bus in Cleveland, and all is well.
Cleveland rocks.
There you go.
Or so they say.
Well, at least Drew Carey says.
That's right.
And Spinal Tap.
And Spinal Tap. Yeah, don't forget. Hello, Cleveland. We actually get to say that tonight.
That's cool.
We say it a lot jokingly, but now we get to actually say it.
That's awesome. I was going to ask you if it was last night or tonight, but hey, good on you. Well, thanks for taking the time and making this work. I know we had some glitches when we first set this up, but it's all good now.
Are you guys wearing sunglasses right now? Like this little icon I see? Do you guys actually look like that?
Yeah, 3 fingers and all.
What happened to your hands?
We have horrible liver disease and we're deformed.
That's right, jaundice.
Right, 3 fingers. Whoever did the artwork, that's really funny, man.
Yeah, we're on an episode of Simpsons.
Yeah, it's totally Simpsons.
Okay.
That
Very
was
cool.
Wasn't that from a picture where
yes,
we were at
there
a
is
gig?
an actual photo. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they took it and rendered it to that. Yeah.
That was fun. But so let's enough about us and our jaundice and missing fingers and stuff. I want to do what we do with most of our guests, and I always say that because it's just become part of what I do now. So we're going to jump in the Wayback Machine and find out where Mr. Neal Morse was born and raised and what got you into this wonderful world of music. So give us a little history, Neal.
Well, let's see. I was born in the San Fernando Valley in L.A., the L.A. area. My dad was a teacher and a choir director, and it was a very musical time. I was born in 1960, and so I still actually I remember as a kid seeing the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, and I vaguely remember it anyway. I was 4,
right?
But, it made a big impact on me. The Beatles did. That was the first thing. And music was such a prevalent thing in the culture at that time. I remember my dad was very liberal and took us to see Woodstock. We actually saw the Woodstock movie in the theaters.
Oh, nice.
And that really changed my life too. I mean, wow, the Who and Joe Cocker and Crosby, Stills and Nash and all those people became big influences on me.
Sure. Was your family musical in any way? Your dad, your mom?
Oh yeah. My dad was a choir director, so I learned how to sing harmonies. We were singing very complex harmonies when we were very small little people, and we go on camping trips and sing the orchestra song, which only orchestra people know. But it's like this Mozart piece that they wrote. Like silly, like little orchestra words too. So I learned how to sing harmony and learned a lot about music at a very early age.
Wow, that's very cool. So I guess not only the singing, but you probably started to learn theory early, or did you even bother with that? I imagine you had to.
Sure. As I learned, I learned most of the theory that I know. I learned by doing it. Like. There was a healthy competition with me and my brothers of who could figure out the song on the radio or the song from the record the fastest. Huh. So I learned about chord changes and I learned about relative harmony and intervals and stuff like that just by using my ear. And we were all ear players pretty much, and so my ear was pretty developed at an early age. I mean, I figured out like how to play "I'm Going Home" by Alvin Lee on the Woodstock album when I was like 11 or something, so we were competing at who could figure it out faster and play it better. And it turned out to be a good thing.
Well, obviously I'm assuming you figured out how to play it on guitar because you're a multi-instrumentalist, but
yes.
What was your instrument at that time?
Well, I was playing, I was in just normal classical piano lessons from when I was 5 to when I was 9. And then I took up guitar and decided that piano was uncool for about 3 years. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't really playing any piano from when I was 9 to when I was 12. And because I was all into Grand Funk and Deep Purple and stuff at that time. And then I went to a Black Sabbath concert and Yes opened up.
Wow.
And that kind of changed my world, and I got back into keyboards, and we started playing all kinds of stuff that had keyboards. And my dad was a teacher at a junior high school in the Valley, and he got a Roland synthesizer through his school that we could just use whenever we wanted. So we were like the only kids on the block who had a synthesizer at that time. So it was a very big deal.
Wow, how cool is that?
Well, at least we thought it was a big deal.
Oh, for sure it was.
It wasn't a big deal at all, actually. But we were able to play Frankenstein with the synthesizer. And, in 1972, that was kind of an unusual thing. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome. So you had the synthesizer. What guitar did you have at that point? Do you remember?
I think my first guitar was a Carvin when they were just like two guys in a warehouse in Escondido, California. We drove down there, and I bought one of my first like real electric guitars. Before that, it was all just like, off-brand pawn shop stuff. My first real guitar was a Carvin.
That's pretty cool.
See, it's a man after my own heart.
Yeah,
because I had a Carvin forever and love that guitar.
Okay. Yeah, I still have mine in storage somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, I still have my first guitar. Yeah.
Was it the slab of maple? Because they used to, with the
Yes.
two horns and like all the crazy switches. Yeah, man.
And mine had a Bigsby on it, I think, or whatever their version of it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back in those days, because they were all mail order.
Yeah. Well, he was able to go to the factory.
Well, yeah,
cool.
that's true.
We drove down there with our it was such a big deal to me as a little kid. I had I don't know how much it cost, like $120 or something like that in those days.
Wow.
We drove down there and bought it. Yeah.
Well, that now Jeff Kiesel, the grandson, is running that whole thing, and they don't do the amplifiers anymore. They're doing the guitars.
That's split in half. And
what an amazing job is he doing. But back then, those guitars, because of the way that, unless you went to the factory, it was mail order.
Right.
You could lay the strings on those necks, and it was like you just breathed on them, because they couldn't afford to send out guitars that couldn't play. so they just made them as precision as they could.
That wouldn't stand the shipping.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, man. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really happy that they became a successful company, because that was like right at the very beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you still play them or have an association with them or anything?
No, I don't actually. No, I later on a girlfriend bought me a Strat, and I've been playing that pretty consistently live for a long time. In the studio, I use my favorite go-to guitar is a Gibson 334. Is it 334? Is that what that is? I think so. I'm asking Bill. I forget model numbers. I forget room numbers. I don't know. I don't remember.
I know 335 and 339. I don't know that I know a 334.
Maybe it's a 335. Yeah, I should know, but It's early in the morning for a guy on tour.
They make it for sure. Don't they make a version that's smaller that doesn't have F holes?
I think I thought the F holes. I thought they had F holes in the 339. The 339 is a smaller version. It's like Johnny A started playing.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. I'll stop now. Go ahead.
That's
finish
okay.
it.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, it's a 68 335 that I have that I use in the studio a lot.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually play it at church a lot too. I keep thinking I should probably get something less expensive to be lugging around playing every Sunday.
And that's funny, because I don't know, for some reason my mind just doesn't associate a 335 with prog, but and that's my initial thought. But then I go back and it's like, okay, Steve Howe and a 175.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
Okay,
couldn't get much thicker.
I just corrected myself. Right.
And I don't know. Check it out. I think Fripp usused to play a 3035 too. I think Fripp did.
Wow, that had to be some time ago.
Yeah.
Well,
but the thing that changed me was that I was working on the One album, and there was this guitar collector friend. I had dinner with him, and he showed me all his guitars, and I played a bunch of his guitars, and he had this 62 335, and I just loved the way it played. And he said, "You want to borrow it?" And I said, "Sure." Mm-hmm. I had it for like a year. I did the One album and I think another record on that guitar until I finally felt like I had to give it back. But it really changed me. I did not realize that a guitar could make that much difference. And it made the tone and the way it almost like played itself. It was just amazing. So I couldn't afford that one because it was a 62 and super expensive. You know how that is. So I waited around and finally got this 68 on Craigslist, and I love it.
That's awesome.
I
don't have one, and I have like I've got a Sheridan, I've got a Casino, but they're both the Epiphone version more or less of 335s. Yeah. I've never owned a real 335, and those are very, very cool.
Yeah, and even this, I found that maybe some of this stuff that the collectors say is true, because the 62 was better than the 68. Even it was very special guitar. I can't explain it.
Wow,
that's wild.
Yeah, some of them just are, man. I mean, some of them just are that special piece, And
you said you bought that on Craigslist?
Well, you bought the 68 on Craigslist.
Yeah, actually, I think it was eBay.
Oh, okay, that's a little bit safer.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think any of it's very safe.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's always a shot in the dark when you're buying on eBay.
Yeah, well, especially a guitar, you don't really know till you live with it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I got lucky with that one.
That's
nice.
And,
but Craigslist, you got to meet the guy like at Burger King or something, and
exactly.
So there's public around.
It's like, how many people were chopped up underneath the floorboards of this house?
Right.
Just 12.
Yeah. I had a guy once. I was buying a baby guitar to go on tour, and it was, I think I won the auction for $2.50, and the guy said, "Hey, I'll drive it up to you." So he's like, probably cost him more than gas. I met him in the parking lot of Sam Ash, and I gave him $2.50 for this guitar. It's like, dude,
my God,
it's like the best deal I ever had in my life.
$15 in gas,
right, and tolls. If you got to go across a bridge or something, it's like, there goes the profit.
I think I paid him all in quarters. It's less than like it would to wash my car.
Well, then at least he could make the bridge. Right. He could throw the change in.
Dude, I can't do this to you, dude. Here's $3.
Hey, here's a tip.
Here's a tip. Oh my God, man. Well, when I don't know, I can't. Oh God, I'm laughing so hard. I can't even remember if I actually when was your first band? When did you get together with people, and what kind of stuff were you playing? And how did that come to where you are now?
Well, I decided that I wanted to do music only pretty young. Again, I think when I was around 12. And so I had a band with my brothers, a bunch of different bands with my brothers. And we played, high school dances in the Valley, and we did whatever gigs we could do. Later on, we did a lot of frat parties for USC and UCLA. That would have been in the early 80s, doing all the new wave kind of stuff. But I was always writing a lot of originals, and we had original bands also. And so I was trying to get a deal, in a bunch of different bands, like, a band that sounded like Journey, a band that sounded like Styx. And then I was trying to be a singer-songwriter in LA for a long time. I really liked, I still do. I love singer-songwriter stuff like early Elton John and Billy Joel and Mark Cohn and that kind of stuff, piano guy stuff. So that became my identity for quite a while. That I was trying to get a deal in LA, and I did a lot of showcases and stuff, and got close. I got some offers and some things, but I never did get a record deal. And so then I moved to Nashville, kind of in failure and telling my story somewhere, and I said, yeah, God had to make me totally desperate to make me want to move to Nashville and try writing country music. That was kind of the consolation prize. So I moved out there when I was in my 30s, and that's actually where my life came together. And but right before I left LA, we actually made and mixed the first Spock's Beard album, which was just sort of this fun, crazy project that I had with my brother. And I didn't really expect it to really ever, make any money or anything. We just did it for love. And it's kind of cool that the first thing that we did with no commercial interest became our actual commercial success.
Wow. Yeah, sometimes it just works out that way. You just I mean, the first thing I think of is Dave Grohl. With Foo Fighter thing, he just did it all himself, just put it out there, and boom.
Exactly.
Now I got to put a band together.
Next time, playing Wembley Stadium.
People sense when you're just doing it for the pure joy of it. rather than to try and have a hit or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When did you move out to Nashville? What era was that?
95.
95. Okay, so that's. I guess there was probably like more or less real country music being written at that point, because right now it's.
It was before. That was when you could still write songs about cheating and drinking and stuff. The good old days.
The good old days. Real country music.
Yeah, when you could punch somebody in the face.
Yeah, both kind of country and western.
Right, yeah. Oh, I had a lot of really cute country songs with like the cute. That was when they had the cutesy titles, with the wordplay stuff. Like I had one song called "Home Is Where the Hurt Is." He's holding my own. The end of the lion. Lyin. I had a bunch of stuff like that. That was when they had all the wordplay stuff. I don't really now. It's pretty much like pop music with a pedal steel in it or whatever.
Yeah. It's I used to say like a year ago I started saying, or 2 years ago I started, it's what we used to call Southern rock. Now it's gone past that. It's it's pretty much almost hard rock with a pedal steel.
Well, you're gonna
for 2 bars.
What's gonna happen is we're gonna hear.
You guys are breaking up.
Oh no! You're gonna hear a song where it's Yngwie Malmsteen doing the lead. Yeah, and it's gonna be a country tune.
Right.
right.
They're just gonna bring.
Yeah, well, it's working for a lot of people, man. My daughter loves it, so there you go.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like the last place, if you really think about it, that you can get heavy radio play and still do like major tours. I mean, you look at like Zac Brown Band and bands like that; they are playing arenas.
Yeah,
man.
they're major tours.
And he's not an old guy; he hasn't been doing it for 25 years. No. He's fairly young in the business, and it seems like that area of music is still kind of like where it used to be with rock and roll, where you would see a band make 12 albums and be a lifetime success and actually have a record company behind them.
Well, there's that,
Yeah, and the whole...
Oh, I think we just lost
the
him.
CMAs, and they have, all this stuff.
We're...
Part of it, too. You have to have like a structure for it all,
I'm sorry, you have to have a what for it?
You guys getting me?
Hey, we just lost you for half a second.
Structure. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's been glitchy for the past couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But
I'm just looking here.
Yeah. So Spock's Beard. That was what year was that? The first album.
I don't think he heard you. Neal, are you there?
It first came out. The first Spock's Beard album came out at the end of 95.
95. Okay. So that was that your kind of first foray into prog and into the prog genre?
Yeah, that was my first release into the prog world. Yeah.
Wow, very cool. And
did well.
Did well. Yeah, exactly. So when did that turn into the Neal Morse Band, or where there were a couple of things in between, right? There was Transatlantic and Flying Colors, if my notes are correct.
Yeah. So I was in Spock's for about 6 years, I think, 6 or 7 years, and then I felt like the Lord. Then during that time I became a Christian, and so for a while I was doing that, and then Mike Portnoy asked me if I wanted to do a side project with him towards the end of the 90s, and that became Transatlantic. And then several years after that, I felt like God was calling me out of those things, so I quit those things in those bands in around 2002, and then I started making solo albums. The first one being Testimony, and that came out, I believe, in 2003. And then so I made a series of prog and pop albums, solo albums, until I felt to do another Transatlantic album, which was called The Whirlwind, and that came out, I think, don't quote me on this, but around 2010. And around that time, I started doing some Neal Morse solo gigs, Europe mainly, and after a while, I started to, we started doing actual Neal Morse tours, And then I started looking for players that could play and sing all this stuff, and I wanted to put together a kind of lean and mean touring band. And so then came in, of course, Mike and Randy George had been playing with me for a while. Then came in Bill Hubauer and Eric Gillette. And it was so great playing live that we decided it would be a great thing to try and write some music together. And so that became the Neal Morse Band that we have now.
Oh, nice.
That's so cool.
Nice, yeah. So this is a collective writing endeavor. Probably you for the most part, I would think, but you all write collectively? Because
it's me for the most part. I just kind of let them in the back door. I said that because they're all sitting here.
No, I was gonna ask you if like you wrote out Portnoy's parts.
oh yeah, right. I'd like to try that. Should I try that? Maybe I should try that. What do you guys think? Right out the next part. Everyone is definitely very involved, and we all have different gifts, different things that we bring to the party, but it's really taking it to a whole new level, I think. And anybody that comes that listens to the new album particularly and comes to the gigs will see that, experience that. It's definitely a band thing.
That's so cool.
That's very cool.
And we've been checking out your stuff online, and
yeah, I think the first song, the first video I caught was "City of Destruction," which I really loved. I'm just really digging this stuff.
It's different, and it's very refreshing, the music, because it's not. It's got that prog feel to it, but it's not overbearing that some of those prog bands can be. I mean, there's plenty of them out there that it's just like, whoa.
I mean, but there's a lot of content in his music, and like when we were talking to Randy, he was mentioning about the bass parts, like they wouldn't work well if they were played with his fingers, because it would just, there's so much there that you need the articulation to get it across. Other than that, it would just be this woofiness, and it just wouldn't work, because it's all written out, done very well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think what one of the main things that we have that I think maybe some prog bands lack in is songwriting. I tell a lot of I've been having some conversations with some younger prog musicians, and it's kind of being the older sage sort of playing that role a little bit. And mainly what I coach them on is like, hey, don't forget the song. All the great prog albums, they have a good song. There's always all the great stuff from Yes and Kansas, and even the little weirder stuff like Crimson or whatever. My favorite stuff always has a good song in it. Don't leave out the song. And there's so many good songs on this new album, Similitude of a Dream. I think as we play it live and people are singing along, I mean, that's an important part also. You would have the good themes and the good fiddly bits, we call them. Yeah. But you also need to have like the good songs to have a great album.
Fiddly bits. I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great description of nice little tasty guitar parts. Fiddly bits.
You can pour milk on it.
Yeah, we even put it in our notes, like practice the fiddly bit in Draw the Line.
That's great, because I mean there's and I think a lot of the shred guys fall prey to this all the time. It's like, it's really not just about how many notes you can play.
Exactly.
There really should be some melody and some thought and things that people can hum, and that's what makes songs to me good and memorable. Notes are just notes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think that I go to the symphony hall a lot, and I think the best compositions have things that you can melodies you can remember. When it's just kind of this out there stuff. I mean, that's interesting, but let's not forget about melody, folks.
Exactly.
For sure.
Well, what's funny is, and I think about this, the other night, Jeff and myself, we went and saw Paul Gilbert. He's out right now. He's doing his thing, little 3-piece power trio.
Yeah.
And he came out and did a 40-minute instrumental of all of his music from 1986 to present. They didn't miss a beat. And we were like, it was unreal to see those guys do that.
Yeah, there was just segue after segue after segue into just parts of this entire history of Paul Gilbert music. It was kind of bizarre to watch. He told us he was going to do this.
Yeah, and the drummer and the bass player were absolute monsters. And I've never seen these guys before.
Yeah.
And it was it was so cool. And to do that, though, you would have thought, it's just going to be, because when he told us, we thought, okay, we're in for 40 minutes of just shredding to no end. And it was not even like that, really.
No, there was a lot of melody involved in there. There really, really was. It was well thought out. The whole thing was well thought out.
Crazy.
Oh, that's great. I love Paul. He's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice guy.
So you're on the road right now, and you're busy. I was looking at your itinerary, and hoping maybe if the cards fall right, and I doubt that they will, but I hope they will. We'll get to see you next week. But after that, you're like all over Europe, man.
Yeah, we're going to Europe towards the end of March. March and April, we'll be there. We're in America now. We'll be. We're doing Cleveland tonight, then we go up into Canada, and then we're coming down into New York and D.C. and Atlanta, and then we go into Cruise the Edge.
Right, and then you go to Europe after that, right? And then you come back.
Yeah, we have several weeks off, and then we go to Europe at the end of March into April.
Okay, and then you're coming back, and you're doing something called Ross Fest, I think it is.
Oh, yeah, Rosfest in May. That's right, yes.
Yeah, you're headlining, I think you're headlining Saturday. It's a 3-day festival. You're headlining Saturday, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah, great.
Yeah, and we will be there.
Before.
I'm sorry, you did what?
I've never played there before. I hear it's really good.
I don't know. It's the first I've heard of it. I was just looking at your itinerary and go, what is this Rosfest thing? And I looked it up, and it's actually a 3-day festival. Ross stands for Rite of Spring. So it's a Rite of Spring festival in May.
Wow. Well, we'll definitely be at that one.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. So, the new release is called... Did we lose him?
The Similitude of a Dream.
Oh, there we go. Similitude of
It's called The Similitude of a Dream, which is actually part of the... It's based on the... book from the 1600s, Pilgrim's Progress, and the full title of which was The Pilgrim's Progress from This World to the Next, as given under the similitude. Where we got that from?
Oh no, well that all glitched out, but I know
we can fill in the blank.
Yeah, I can fill in the blank.
Okay.
Do you, for tour-wise, performance-wise, are you mostly fronting, mostly playing keys, mostly playing guitar, or a whole lot of everything?
I'm doing a little bit of all of that. I'm probably playing keys more than anything else while I'm singing, but I'm doing a little bit of fronting, a little bit of guitar, a little acoustic guitar, a little electric, and a little bit of everything.
Nice.
That seems to be my role.
The other guys just fill in.
Well, your new role is going to be writing Portnoy's parts. Well, you know that. So, all right, Neal. Anything else? Anything else that we haven't touched on? Do you want to plug? We got the new release. The website is, what is the website?
RadiantRecords.com. That's where you can buy stuff.
Okay.
All right, buying stuff is good. People should go out and buy stuff.
Yeah, you can buy stuff there. Let's see, things that are coming up and coming out. There's going to be a version of my concept album, Sola Scriptura and Question Mark, from Morse Fest 2015. That's going to be coming out in March. And the album is going to be coming out on vinyl in March also. So those are the things that are coming up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Vinyl. Love vinyl. So many more people are doing it nowadays. It's great.
Man. You got to have it.
Yeah. It's a really happening, it's a really good market for that right now. So
cool.
Yeah. People have been after me to put that stuff out on vinyl forever, including Mike Portnoy. So finally.
Good.
Wow.
Finally, we're going to do it.
Good. Well, good luck with that when it comes out. Best of luck with the, let me get this right, The Similitude of a Dream. And have a great tour. I hope I got to get a chance to come see you guys in Falls Church next week. I really do. But if not, hopefully we'll make it out to Ross Fest. And anybody else who, especially our European listeners, you're all over Europe. So if you can get out and see the Neal Morse Band, go out and do it. If you're into prog at all, these guys are really good. If you don't know about them, you should. So. And
we all have actually 5 fingers on each hand. Unlike you guys.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder why you can play so much better.
We can only do Django Reinhardt tunes.
Oh, my God. That's a stretch. That's a stretch. Well, Neal, thank you so very much for taking the time. I'm happy it worked out today that we could do this. And much continued success, my friend, and safe travels. And, go amaze some people.
Oh, man. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to seeing you.
Absolutely, man. Have a great rest of the day.
All right. You too, man. Take care.
Thanks. Take care. And there you have the story.
Yeah. Capped it off with the leader of the band.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah. They got a little threefer there for everybody.
Yeah. And thank you, Neal, but thank you, everybody, for, everybody in the band. That was, that might have been a first for us. Like, we, got the whole band. Well, no. We've had a couple of dual guitar player things, but I don't know if we've done
two guitar players and the bassist.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was great
bunch of guys.
Great bunch of guys, and and like we said before, they're if you haven't heard of them, you need to check them out because they're bigger in the prog genre than you would think if you're not into the prog genre.
Exactly, and the music, it flows very well. It doesn't have that herky jerky that some of the prog bands do, especially the modern ones.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's written very well.
Yeah, it flows very nice, and it's amazing. You hear those stories, but with him and his competition with his brothers, and stuff. It's like. That right there just tells you, when you have that thing, it's going to just push you that further over the edge to be, just to strive to be that good. And look at the dividends it pays, right?
Oh, for sure, man. If you're willing to go through that and, you have the intestinal fortitude to be the best, you'll get somewhere, no matter what, if music or whatever, you'll get somewhere for sure.
Oh, yeah. If he was look, there's 2 quarterbacks that real famous, name the Manning brothers. They seem to win Super Bowls pretty good.
Yeah. Little competition there, you think?
You think a little bit?
A little bit.
Yeah. Hey, before we leave, though, we got to mention our good buddy Greg Mara. He has a podcast. And I think it's called the Greg Mara Podcast, but he was on Guitar Speak podcast with our good buddy Matt Wakeling.
Oh, okay.
We're just talking about podcasts now.
There you go.
And he gave us a very nice plug, and we want to tell everybody, go out, check it out. It's on iTunes. He just started up. He's going to be interviewing some of the people we've interviewed. And, just like Matt, he's just covering the West Coast. And we're gonna be on there. We're gonna talk to him and just spreading the love around. But definitely check it out. Greg's an awesome guy. He's been on the show twice with us, and just a fun guy to talk to. He's kind of one of those guys, a little prankster kind of guys, Yeah, and he's so dry. He throws it in, and you're like, it's like a joke grenade. You get it 5 seconds later, but it's funny, So
you
definitely
guys
check it out.
You guys play well together.
Yes, we do.
Yes, you do.
And make sure you check out his band Plenty Heavy. He's getting more singles out there and stuff, and throw some love over there to him, and definitely Mr. Wakeling over there in Australia, because he's interviewing guys I've never heard, but they're amazing musicians.
Oh, nice.
And those Australian dudes, man, they know how to play.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get over there and get some of those cats, because it's not all just AC/DC and Airborne. There's some heavy jazz influences over there that are monsters on guitar, man. So
wow, I'm going to have to look into this.
Yeah,
See,
man.
Even I learned something.
Matt has been interviewing some serious cats, and
Nice.
And I just love his accent.
Yeah.
It's always fun to hear him talk.
Totally.
And it could just be a grocery list. It's so weird, but it just sounds so much better than the way we speak, I feel sometimes.
Coffee.
And I'm sure we're the same way.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're the foreigners.
That's right. So until next time, my friend.
Can there be? I mean, we just did a threefer. Can there be a next time?
I'm Mick Marcelino.
I'm Jeff Bober.
And we're always saying,
onward.
Be sure and follow the show on Twitter @Amps and Axes. Also, make sure you like the show on Facebook. For news, comments, and everything else, visit the webpage ampsandaxescast.com. Thanks for listening.